Hello everyone, we're at ViewSonic corporate headquarters and are excited for today's visit from Mr. Robert Liu from Google. We're here to talk about the Chromebox OPS and how it integrates into your ecosystem. To help us get us started, Robert, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi everybody. I've been in the computer industry for a long time, and I work in ChromeOS within Google, and I'm a technical solutions engineer. And what I do on a daily basis is I work with the OEM partners like ViewSonic and our ODM partners, and we build exciting ChromeOS devices like your Chromebooks and your Chromeboxes.
So this new idea of being able to take over the front of classroom, right, where teachers are already integrated into the Google ecosystem. What was the idea and the vision behind creating the Google Chromebox?
So back 2011, Intel and other partners created this specification called OPS. Stands for Open Pluggable Specification. And this particular specification specifies a standard plug-in device with standard physical dimension as well as interface. And with this particular device, it allows the IT admins to plug in a device into the panel, and it'll work seamlessly across different panels and different box vendors that build these OPS interface devices. So we decided to create a Chromebox OPS that plugs into many standard panels with this interface.
I love that. We know that schools love, one, durability, and two, the flexibility to use products in different environments, right?
Yep.
And so in talking about the Chromebox and how organizations are deploying them, what are some of the benefits as far as longevity and the flexibility that you've seen and why it was built?
To begin with, when we create this device, we leverage a particular platform, and that happens to be the Intel Alder Lake P Raptor Lake platform. And this particular platform has an auto-update support for 10 years since the creation of this platform. So we decided to select this platform, one, for power, and the range of power. You could go on the low end, which is Celeron, all the way up to the high end, which is i7, Core i7s. And we can outfit it with plenty of memory as well as SSD storage to give it the specification that's required by the end customer. The Chromeboxes are exciting for the schools and the teachers because it uses the same operating system as the regular Chromebooks. For the students, it's easy to understand. And for the teachers, they already use this particular interface. For them, it's also easy to ramp up and learn how to use this device. Really reduces the friction in the classroom and allows the teachers to be able to focus on delivering the important instructions that they want to get delivered to the student rather than dealing with the IT issues.
Yeah, that brings up a really good point, right? Every time I go into a school, it seems that teachers have less and less time to learn products. So it's really good that the product is very seamless, right? The Chrome OS that they're used to on their Chromebook or their laptop essentially just moves over to the Chromebox or the front of classroom device that they're using, and it integrates very well. That's really nice for adoption and gaining adoption, right? And having that flexibility.
Yep.
You mentioned a little bit about the build and the processing speed. So understanding that teachers have Google Slides and they have Google Classroom and they have YouTube running and all these different tabs open,
Yep.
right? Can you talk to us about the processing speed, and should we be worried that it's going to crash or not work at a certain point?
So because this particular device leverages what we call the Intel Big Core processors, it actually has plenty of processing power. And like I said, it ranges from Celeron all the way to Core i7. So depending on your school needs, you could pick somewhere, on the low end for a lower price or on the higher end for a better performance. In addition, it comes standard with plenty of memory as well as storage. So teachers should not, run into issues where there's devices will stall as they open multiple tabs and do streaming and so on. It is a very, very powerful box. And in addition, being a powerful device, it's also, having a Chrome OS built in, it'll boot up very fast, 10 seconds from power on to log in. It'll come back from sleep within a second. These are typical Chrome OS specs. Also, We never had any ransomware attack on ChromeOS devices. So these devices are highly secure.
So Robert, thanks for the explanation and understanding the powerfulness of this device, right? And it's always great, our Chromebox has the i3 built in. So it's great to know that our users aren't gonna see a lag in downtime or any of that type of thing when using YouTube and docs and slides.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. i3 is an incredible processor. That Core i3 is actually a balance of power and cost. It's definitely right in the middle in terms of the performance envelope. However, it's a very reasonably cost device, CPU. And with that, you're really getting the best of both worlds.
So understanding that IT departments are very thin amongst themselves, right? And time is also of the essence. Can you talk about the manageability? Also, like, I remember back in the day when I managed Chromebooks that there was a zero-touch enrollment thing that would speed up the process for us. Can you talk about those?
Absolutely. So it's great that you're asking about the manageability side of this device. Chromebox OPS, like other Chrome OS devices, like your Chromebooks, they are managed exactly the same. And so admins in a school district, as you said, they're really usually very thin in terms of manpower, but they have to manage hundreds, if not thousands upon thousands of devices. So they're used to not having to spend a lot of time doing a lot of management because they could set up the policies, set up the different organizations. And Chromebox OPS, similar to any other Chrome OS devices, could be managed the same. Definitely the admin can set up zero touch. So if you can imagine, the administrator, they purchase a set of Chromebox OPSs. All they need to do is plug it in, and as soon as the teachers log in, they're automatically enrolled, and all the policies are set properly for the teachers, and really zero in touch for them.
That's a nice little addition. We've noticed in managing a bunch of devices across the network, one key thing and difference to note between a Chromebook and a Chromebox is the power setting, right? Typically, you want your laptop to, when it goes to sleep, to lock down with a passcode or a password.
Right.
But for instructional purposes, front of classroom, just as an IT admin, you just need to know, you probably want to change the timeout settings on the Chromebox because you want, as an instructor, content to be displayed maybe for 5 or 10 minutes as students are collaborating or working on things, right?
Yeah.
So just a nice little pro tip there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as we talk about the Chromebox and we talked about how it can slot into a panel, we've had some unique scenarios. And I think that the inputs is what makes it so unique on the device. Can you talk about the powering of the device, for example, if you don't slot it in, and kind of the type of cables we can connect to make it a more flexible product?
Yeah, good point. So if, let's say it's an externally attached device with power cable, with HDMI and keyboard and so on, right? Typically you would have to go to the panel, select the right input, go back to the box, turn it on, and so on, right? And it really creates a lot of headache and sort of hassles for the teachers. Versus Chromebox OPS, when it's slotted in properly and locked in, basically the teachers just need to go to the on-screen display on the panel and select OPS. And automatically it'll get powered on if it's not powered, or automatically it will come back from sleep if it's in a sleep mode, and the teacher could go back and start logging in and do her thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we've actually had a lot of unique scenarios since launching this product. We have non-touch TVs, we call them our CDE, commercial displays, and we've had some schools that they didn't want touch, and they wanted to be able to be mobile in the classroom. So what they've done is they've done the Chrome OPS slotted, and what they're able to do is have a mouse and keyboard, and so they can be mobile. They can still manage their Chrome OS and all their apps and content.
Yep.
One of the other neat things that I've seen is where we have monitors that when you power them up, it has a USB-C 60 or 100 watt that'll power the Chromebox. And now we can use that as a check-in station or a kiosk type of scenario where it's not just a slot in for a panel. It can be a very flexible product because of the inputs you guys have allowed in that product.
That's right. The Chromebox OPS, other than having a OPS interface, it also comes with USB-C and HDMI output. And so you could potentially externally attach this and use it as a desktop device if you prefer. And it'll work just like any other Chromeboxes. And it's got plenty of USB-A ports, so you can connect your keyboard and your mouse to it. Yeah.
And we know in education, we love the flexibility of products, right? Being able to use it in different environments or different situations. So that's great. So as we become a user of the Chromebox, the Chrome OS system, right? We have our docs and our accounts and all those types of things. There's been a divide here where you have Google licenses. You have a Plus license, right? And then you have another version, which is the complimentary version. Can you speak on those and why you would want one or the other?
Obviously, there's a free education license, and then there's the higher level, which is Education Plus. And what comes with the Education Plus is this particular tool that we created back in June 2025. It's called Class Tools. And Class Tools, being part of the Education Plus package, offers the teachers a tool to help them manage the classroom, manage the course content, and also help them manage students on how they learn and grading and so on. Later, we could talk a little bit more about the class tool features and show how exciting this tool is to the teachers and as well as the students from a learning perspective.
You make a great point. These tools are really exciting. I actually can't wait to get into it. I almost want to talk over you because I'm so excited about it. Before we get there, can you talk about the devices required in order to run the class tools?
Yep. If you look at a typical classroom environment, you have the interactive flat panel in front of the classroom. You have the teachers sometimes teaching behind their desk or in front of the classroom. And then you have the students sitting in front of the panel, right? Every one of these characters or devices potentially should be a Chrome OS device. It could be a Chrome OS or Chrome OS Flex. And Class Tool will work with any of these devices. So ideally, it will be a Chromebox OPS in front of the classroom, and maybe teachers could have Chromebook Plus, and the students can have regular Chromebooks.
Excellent. So it really has the flexibility of the type of Chromebook or Chrome OS operating system available to it.
That's right. And that's the main reason why we created a plethora of devices: Chromebooks, Chromebook Plus, Chromebox OPS, and various Chromeboxes.
So the exciting part.
Yeah.
Can you speak on the class tools and some of the benefits and why teachers should get excited about some of these opportunities?
I'm glad you mentioned Class Tool. It is a very exciting part of the EDU Plus offering. Class Tool has 5 main features. Really allows the teachers to manage content for the students and also manage how students can learn in the classroom. The first feature of the Class Tools is the content creation and also content push to the student devices. So imagine in a classroom setting, the teacher's working off the interactive flat panel with Chromebox OPS, and then the students each have their own Chromebooks. Teachers could create a lesson plan for these students using their Chromebooks. And once the lesson plan is created, teachers could push the content to all the students' Chromebooks, and students can learn off of it. Now, sometimes the teachers want to be able to focus the student on a particular content in their lesson plan. For example, maybe the teachers want the students to look at a Wikipedia page on the moon, right? So teachers could use this feature called On Task, and basically it locks the student onto a particular task, which is that tab with Wikipedia page. And student can veer off that page, or they could venture maybe a few links into it. Other than On Task, as the teacher is delivering the instruction, sometimes you may have students that want to see the caption of the instruction. Or maybe it's in a multicultural environment where students speak different languages and some students are not as comfortable with English. Then they could potentially get the caption translated into their native language as a screen caption. That feature really could allow the teachers to teach in an environment where students could be speaking different languages. Next feature is what we call Spotlight. Sometimes the teacher may want to promote or showcase a student's great work. So what the teachers could do is actually pull the student's screen from their Chromebook onto the IFPD and showcase their work. Or sometimes the student might need support in a difficult subject. The teacher could do the same as well, pull their screen in front of the classroom and explain to the students and other folks that may be struggling with the same issue. And then finally, we have a feature that basically locks the students' Chromebooks out. Sometimes during instruction, the teacher may want to stop everyone from working on their Chromebooks and focus the attention back to the teacher. And we offer a feature to lock the students out so they cannot use that device for any other purpose other than closing their Chromebook and focus their attention to the teachers.
These sound like a lot of great features. Keeping students on task, the ability to translate, and the ability just to say, hey, let's focus up here.
Yep.
I think that's what every teacher wants all the time, right? So like, what a great set of tools that's available through Google's Class Tools. That's amazing. Knowing how the admin console works, or the workspace console, right? For the IT managers, and teachers don't see that, but they control settings, the hardware of the Chromebox and,
Yep.
and Chromebooks. Can you talk about what role that plays in, and/or how the deployment of these class tools occur to teachers? How do teachers get them, and how are they able to leverage those in the classroom?
Because EDU Plus license includes class tools. So once basically the admins would set up teachers in a separate organization and then the students in a separate organization, and these two would access class tool differently. Students will access class tool as students, and the teacher will access class tool as teachers.
That's awesome. So it seems pretty simple to be able to get acclimated there.
Yes.
Yeah. We've gone through an abundant of information, right? Anywhere from hardware to software to the flexibility of the Google Chromebox OPS. Is there any parting words you'd like to say to the audience or to the listeners out there about the Google Chromebox OPS?
Yes. One exciting feature about Chromebox OPS is because it's a standard interface. And as we all know, IFPDs could last a little bit longer than a few years, right? Typically, they have a warranty of 3 to 5 years, but you could actually stretch it in today's world. There's less budget, and devices are getting very expensive because component prices have gone way out of whack, right? So a great path for you to upgrade would be continue to use your IFPD because they're working fine, right? And plug in a Chromebox OPS in front of your panel. And now you have a brand new device, super powerful, and with the latest operating system, ChromeOS, and continue to update until our end of update dates for that device. And you basically refresh your panel with a new OS. And with this capability, you could do that with any panels. You could offer this Chromebox OPS not only to ViewSonic panels, but you could also identify other OEM panels as long as they have an OPS interface. They all work interchangeably because the standard interface, it's a standard interface and the enclosure is the same. It's on the same standards. Yeah.
Schools get real excited about the ability to extend the life of their technology, right?
That's right.
Especially in today's budget crisis where school budgets are getting smaller and smaller. Expectation for teachers are getting higher and higher, but also, with the risk of cybersecurity in play, where IT has to invest in more protective or secure type of software and hardware to protect all of the people in that environment. So that's a really good mix on that. Well, Robert, thanks for your time and the explanation of all the products from a hardware and software standpoint. And the audience, thanks for your time. ViewSonic is very excited about being able to offer the ViewSonic Chromebox OPS and all of its functionality of leveraging the class tools. Thanks to Robert and the Google team for coming in today and being part of the webinar.
You're welcome. And really, I'm very happy to help out and really excited about these products that we're talking about today, and really appreciate the opportunity from ViewSonic to be able to come here and explain all these exciting products and features. And we look forward to having more audience adopt these technologies and partner with you and really improve the classroom experience.
Thank you, Robert. Please be on the lookout for our class tools videos where we walk through the how-to, and you can get a good understanding of how to start leveraging these tools if you're a Google Plus account user. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.